All right. Well, good afternoon, everybody. Hopefully you guys are having a fantastic conference. My name is Michael Jaffe. I'm a senior product manager with the Windows Server Marketing Group, focused on interoperability, PHP on Windows. And I'm going to talk a little bit about sort of Microsoft and PHP and kind of the different things you can do to leverage PHP on our platform. With me is Sean Hirschman, and Sean's going to do some pretty cool demos for you, some stuff that you might not have realized you can do with PHP on the Microsoft platform. And nobody else can leave the room, sir. So let's get started. So kind of, we have these shirts on, PHP, kind of explore the possible. What does that mean? I think a lot of people already know that you can run PHP on Windows Server. You can run it on IIS 7, IIS 6, 5, and the such. But we're going to kind of talk about what Microsoft has done to date with the open source community, the different things that and the different things that are possible on the platform. So it's really more than just running PHP on Windows Server, because that is interesting, and you can run your .NET apps and PHP at the same time. But we're going to kind of try to tie in all the different products that are sort of PHP supported, and give you guys something to think about when you leave the conference. So a quick agenda: Microsoft and open source. That's, to some that's probably like an oxymoron, but it is true. We're quite deeply engaged with the open source community. We've done pretty substantial work over the past year with different projects, different sponsorships, and just sort of overall reach into these communities to help them out in different scenarios, and in general just kind of drive interoperability. So we're going to talk about that, a little bit about that, and kind of PHP and Windows overview, Windows Server, SQL, different products that support PHP. I'm going to talk really quickly also about the Microsoft, the Windows with a Web Platform. As you guys probably heard that at Scott's keynote yesterday, we're going to touch on that. And then we got some pretty good demos for you as well. So Microsoft, we actually have something called this Open Source Technology Center. And essentially what the Open Source Technology Center does is, it's kind of the interface between Microsoft and open source communities. And the ones that we're sort of more focused on are PHP, but it's more than just PHP. So, but the only thing I'm going to talk to you today about is kind of PHP and Microsoft. But the Open Source Technology Center in general, they reach out to all different sort of types of open source companies, different communities, to help drive interoperability across Microsoft platforms. So Open Source Technology Center, there's really kind of three goals. One is to engage the PHP.NET community, and to make sure that Windows builds are available for PHP. We drive work with different core developers to make sure that they're interested in our products and our platforms, and make sure that there's fantastic interoperability as well as great performance of PHP on the Windows platform. And then, of course, sort of the internal support. So there's different groups within Microsoft that do different things with PHP, and kind of the Open Source Technology Center is a group that kind of brings everybody together to help them think through some problems and really think through how PHP can be sort of further extended on the Microsoft platform. So if you guys want to know more about the Open Source Technology Center, you just go to microsoft.com/open source, and you can kind of find out more about kind of Microsoft's open source strategy in general, and the different things that we're doing with the PHP communities to date. So kind of Microsoft and the PHP community, once again, I think to some it's a little bit of oxymoron, but we're there. We're involved in the community, and over the past year, we've really made some pretty substantial improvements with how PHP works on our platform, and the different applications and the different sort of community projects that are out there. So about a year ago, there really was no core developers working on Microsoft, or rather on the Microsoft technology, or Microsoft platform. And Windows was sort of looked at as kind of a second-class citizen, if you will, for PHP and these core developers. Delayed binary releases, no Q&A, lack of documentation, because people know how to run PHP on Windows. It's not, it's nothing. While it may be new to some, it's been going on for quite some time. And the PHP community in general just sort of, it's not so much they ignored it, but it just wasn't a focus. But what we've seen over the past year is that a lot more people are interested in running PHP on our platform, and getting and helping to extend PHP, integrating .NET, integrating the different products that are available to really help create maybe a better, not so much a better PHP experience, but a better experience overall. And since this is a kind of a developer and designer event, it's we're talking about the experience. So PHP plus Windows, really, you can get a unique experience, unlike only running PHP on top of a Linux platform. So before and after, so no core developers. Today we've got 2 core developers. We have 7 regular contributors to the Windows project, the different code pieces. It's a primary platform. We have synchronized releases now. What that means is that whenever a Linux build goes out, there's a Windows build that goes out at the same time. And what we're really seeing is that in this latest release, the 5.3 release, we're seeing just tremendous performance improvements over the previous builds. So there's always a question about, hey, what's performance like? But I can tell you that the 5.3 build of PHP is phenomenal. The performance is just off the charts better than it has been for the past, every build that we've had to date. There's Q&A finally on the sort of Windows platform with PHP, and to date, 95% of all the core tests pass on Windows. And we're going to publish some more results over the next couple of months to show you different performance improvements and the such. And dedicated communication channels. So before, when people were interested in finding out more about PHP and Windows, there really was no place to go. There really was no community interaction to sort of drive the message and to get you all the documentation that you needed. But today, there's dedicated IRC channels. There, you can find documentation is.net/php, and you can also go to windows.php.net to get all the latest builds, all the latest documentation, releases, forums, and all the support that's available for PHP on the Windows platform. So, does anybody not know that you can actually get there is sort of a dedicated site within the PHP community for Windows? Anybody not know? Everybody knew. That's awesome. Okay, we've got one person telling the truth. Yeah. So if you want to go find out more, windows.php.net, and this is sort of the the open source place where you go get your PHP builds, and you go find out more kind of in general about what you can do with Windows as a platform. So combined effort for PHP excellence. As I mentioned, the Open Source Technology Center, they integrate with the core devs, the community, and internal product groups. And over the past year, we've done quite a bit of interesting things with regards to PHP in the community. Number one, we contributed basically code back to a PHP community, open source community project, and that's really the first time that Microsoft contributed code to an LGPL type code base. ADODB is a data abstraction platform layer, and so what essentially we've done is that we took ADODB, integrated that with something called the PHP SQL Server driver for PHP. And now, you have now the choice. If you're using ADODB as your framework, you now have the option to write to SQL as opposed to MySQL. So to date, everything has been sort of MySQL driven. But if you want to leverage the power of SQL, you can go ahead and do that now with ADODB. We've also contributed code back to PHPBB as well. So if you want to use that bulletin board software, you can now use it with SQL as well. It's seamless. As I mentioned, the SQL Server driver for PHP, that was released about a year ago. We're seeing really tremendous traction. It works across SQL Server 2008, SQL Server 2005 as well, and SQL Server Express. So you can use this driver and leverage SQL with your, if you have like a custom PHP application that you're developing, you can leverage SQL now as your database of choice. Of course, Windows Server 2008. So it's been about a year and some change. We released Windows Server 2008 with IIS7, and with that we shipped a module called FastCGI. A company called Zen Technologies actually helped us develop that. So what this enables you to do is run PHP natively on Windows Server 2008 with no additional downloads. And you can also use, but IIS7 is not the only kind of feature or choice that you have for PHP. If you're running Windows Server 2003 or even 2000, you can still leverage the FastCGI module as an additional out-of-band download. And of course, performance, it was drastically improved with FastCGI as opposed to kind of previous versions of IIS. Expressions Web. So I don't know if anybody uses Expressions Web, but you can actually use Expression Web 2.0, and author PHP sites. You can do some integrations and some pretty cool hooks using a Microsoft technology, Microsoft tool, and then once again, you can leverage PHP in both directions. We're going to show you some of that stuff a little bit later as well. Community feedback. So there's been quite a fantastic uptake of press, InfoWorld, Information Week. That we've seen just really great traction on sort of driving the PHP and Windows story. And really people are seeing the benefits of, our platform allows you to take, once again, leverage.net and use PHP kind of on top of that as well. And sort of one of the more interesting features that we're really, I think, we are the only platform that allows you to run a kind of heterogeneous environment and use kind of a single management console to run either your data center if you're a hoster, or if you're a developer, if you're writing .NET and PHP applications, you can do it all and host them on the same platform at the same time. Once again, increasing support for the core PHP, from the core PHP community. This is Rob Richards, he's one of the PHP core developers, and basically what he said is in the past couple of months, Microsoft has done more with the PHP community than has happened over the past several years. And we've heard that time and time again from different events that we go to. We sponsored Sugar CRM and ZenCon, and we always kind of get this sort of, the reaction is, oh, we had no idea, and this is really cool stuff. I have customers that want to, I have, for folks that are Linux only, they also have customers that perhaps want Windows or they want Microsoft platform. We're now giving them the option, giving them the choice to actually to do both on the same platform. So, if you're a hoster, you can now sort of enter into a new market and get PHP developers or PHP users onto a Windows offer. And if you're a developer, you can now sort of extend your reach as well. So if you only do PHP, there are really simple hooks where you can drop in .NET modules and really harness the power of the Windows platform and really make your PHP app pop. So changes to the code have been substantially easier based on the core developers that we have working for us. The gentleman's his name is Pierre Joy. He's based out of Germany. So if you guys follow the IRC channels, he's pretty active. And he's really the one that's been helping us drive the kind of better experience with PHP on the Windows platform. The whole, and I don't care about Windows as a platform, is really going away. Obviously, some folks will always love Linux, and that's fine. But for the folks that want to try out Windows, there's now there's a compelling reason to do it. Performance is better, documentation is better, there's an actual community following. So for those of you that haven't tried it yet, hopefully you can go out there. Actually, did everybody pick up their copy of a Windows Server? I know that it was supposed to have been in the bag, but I believe you can actually go to the registration desk and pick up a copy. So I think there was a little snafu with the mailing, but you can get that. So once you're done with the session, go get a copy, but not you, sir. And as far as the reach, we've had over 80,000 downloads of PHP 5.3 alpha in 3 months, and so that, just to give you a frame of reference, that's probably triple the total downloads that we've had for the last several builds. So there is there is a swell. There's a lot of activity, there's a lot of interest in running PHP on the Windows platform. So I want to talk to you really quickly. So I think everybody was at the keynote yesterday. We talked a little bit about kind of the Microsoft Web Platform. Kind of what is that? Web Platform is a combination of databases, servers, tools, and technologies that really allow you to kind of develop the best possible experience on the web. Now, why it's interesting for me is that PHP is now kind of a part of that platform, not directly, but as you saw with Bill Staples' demo, when you pull down a PHP application from the app gallery, you now get a build of PHP at the same time. So you no longer have to sort of go through the process of setting everything up ahead of time or after the fact. It all happens seamlessly when you click the install button. So web platform, tools, servers, and technologies. So once again, if you're running PHP, and there it is, you now can leverage all of our tools, all of our technologies, and really get what I think is a really robust experience of PHP on the Windows platform. Different applications that are popular. I think we recognize the fact that not everybody wants to use a .NET app. There's a lot of applications that are really popular, and that's what helped us really drive the thinking around both the web platform installer and the application gallery. You really want to give customers as much choice as possible. And if you want to run PHP, you can do it on our platform. There's a compelling reason to go ahead and do that. And we're going to show you some cool demos to to back that up. One platform, one installer. So once again, if you go to Microsoft.com/WAC Web, you can pull down the latest 2.0 beta. And what this allows you to do, it's a seamless, it's a one-click install for the out-of-band releases, different frameworks, different express SKUs of the products that we have available. And at some point in the coming year, you'll actually be able to download the PHP sort of SQL driver as well, kind of all on this one spot. And then that's coupled, of course, with the app gallery. So you get the PI, you download your platform, you get your framework in place, and then you pull down the apps that you want. And this actually is pretty cool. So the gallery, it's open, and basically if you're writing an application and you think it's cool, there's a process to submit it. And there's a couple of resource slides at the back of the presentation, and you can, so if you're a developer, if you're an ISV, or if you work for an ISV, there are ways for you to go ahead and actually submit and kind of wrap your application so that it works with the installer. And then there's a process by which you submit the application and get it pushed into the gallery. And with that, I'm going to let Sean show you the platform installer and kind of all the cool things that you can do on the fly.
Thanks, Michael. If you guys had a chance to sit on the keynote yesterday, they did go over the kind of a quick high-level description of WPI. But what I want to do today is I kind of want to show you what it's like to utilize the Windows Web Platform 2.0 beta to install an open source application. In the keynote, they actually used a .NET Nuke. And I can tell you it does take a little bit more than one click to install, but it is highly minimized. So I'm just going to start this up here, and what it's doing is it's going to go grab the latest XML configuration file from the cloud to let the tool know what's available for it to utilize, what new services it can install, what drivers, what applications are available to it from the application web gallery. And here we go. So this should look familiar to you if you're looking on the keynote. Today I'm going to go ahead and install WordPress. WordPress is the open source blogging technology, if you haven't heard of it. As I'm clicking install, one of the things it's doing is it's doing a prerequisite check to ensure that I have all the server-based technologies and any drivers or databases necessary to actually run WordPress, so I can actually now press that one click. You'll notice that it's going to download WordPress, the web deployment tool, something for MySQL connector, and it tells you, the size of the file. So I'm going to go ahead and accept that. And what it's doing is it's going in the background, and it's now downloading each individual component. As it downloads one component, it will install it on the fly while another component is being installed in the background. So right now we're actually installing the web deployment tool, and in a few seconds here we should actually have a working version of WordPress. And this WordPress blog is actually going to be the foundation of some future demos in this presentation. So I'm going to go ahead and let that install. And as that's going, I'll have Michael continue on.
All right. So as that's moving along, so perhaps one click is the dream. So maybe there's 2 or 3 clicks, but you get the point. It's a faster, it's an easier way to install our entire web technology web platform with servers and kind of get all of the cool benefits of the kind of the Microsoft the web platform. So I'm gonna let that one. How are we doing?
Actually, I can swing back.
And we're done. Back to Sean.
Sorry, folks. Just want to make sure we're moving along. So the next step in the WordPress setup is, I can actually create a new website, or I can use an existing website on where I want to actually deploy the blog to. So just for simplicity's sake, I'm going to stick with the default website, and I will continue. I'm using a MySQL backend. Right now I'm actually running MySQL 5.1. I'm going to create a new database for my application. I'm going to type in the database master password, and then one more password for my application user. Go ahead and continue. And now it's actually going out, running the scripts in the background, taking all the information it's just gathered to launch my blog. So I'm going to go ahead and launch that now. Now I have the default install of blog. Let's call it Mix blog. My email, admin@contoso.com, and just install WordPress. And one last click. I'm actually presented with a randomly generated password and user. And log in for the first time. And here I'm greeted with the WordPress dashboard, which we'll be utilizing later.
Very cool. So web platform installer coupled with the app gallery allows you to take, get the web platform, get the technologies, and then immediately, pull down a PHP application, have it work on your Windows server. So if you're a hoster, it's an interesting thing where you can kind of, if you're selling dedicated servers, it's a way for you to leverage the different the galleries that we have available, the different applications that they'll be in the app gallery, and just once again give your users some choice when it comes to how they deploy and where they deploy the different applications. So I mentioned PHP support in Windows Server 2008. So about a year ago, we launched Windows Server 2008 with IS7. IS7 has the FastCGI module. And the interesting thing with FastCGI is that in prior versions of IIS, the kind of CGI module was too slow. ISAPIs were fast, but they weren't stable. So the FastCGI piece actually sort of leverages the best of both worlds. And you get reliable and fast PHP processing on Windows Server. And once again, you can get FastCGI as an out-of-band install for IS6 and 5.1. So if you haven't upgraded to Windows Server 2008 yet, you can still leverage the power of PHP on Windows or PHP on the Windows Server platform with this out-of-band installation. A couple other things, so kind of some upcoming improvements to FastCGI. So tuning, as far as load and different numbers of requests. So that's coming up in the next build of IIS. You can recycle PHP processes and changes to the PHP to INI file, and tracing, so better debugging for your PHP developer. And already, for those of you that haven't used IS7 yet, IS7 has a lot of really robust debugging and features that allow you to isolate issues that are happening on your server. So in the past, if there's an issue, you would have to sort of hunt and peck and figure out, okay, what happened. With IS7, sort of a log file is generated and allows you to actually immediately, well, not obviously however fast it takes you to run through the log file, but it isolates the problem from the time that it started to the time that it stopped. So if you have an issue, you can isolate it back to a line of code, or there's some sort of setting that was misdiagnosed. So it's pretty cool from a developer standpoint because it helps you to immediately isolate your problem and fix the code if you have to. If you're a hoster and you're delegating administration rights, you can delegate it straight down to the sort of the site level. You now give your users the ability to actually diagnose their own problems before they call you for tech support. So it helps to reduce some operational expenses. Once again, I'm not sure exactly how, if you're a host, I don't know what percentage of your time is spent dealing with these types of issues, but with IS7, it allows you to delegate those rules and get your user to sort of self-diagnose their problems. And then in general, with IS7, something called integrated pipeline, it allows you to do a couple of other pretty cool things and really leverage the power of Windows Server. So simple configuration, Xcopy deployment, you can instantly utilize a .NET module and kind of couple it to your PHP application in real time and right on the server itself. Flexible configurations, there's different methods for you to make your PHP application a little bit more robust with output caching. You can leverage media services directly from the server. So there's a lot of really kind of cool hooks in IS7 that really allow you to take your PHP application and really make it pop. You can leverage the full platform, the full kind of .NET platform with the application, and we're going to show you a couple of things kind of towards the end of our demos to just a really simple way to make your PHP application more secure by you utilizing a .NET authentication module. Drop it right onto the server. It connects to your PHP app, and you have kind of a more secure application. If you're for those of you that run data centers, or for those of you that are hosters, you can now, let's say if you don't necessarily like running Linux, or you don't have the expertise to run kind of a LAMP stack, you can take IS7 and run .NET and PHP on the same platform. So you can kind of, if you're accustomed to working with a GUI, if you're accustomed to working with the Windows technologies, this is now a way for you to take .NET and PHP, run it on the same box, the same platform, harness the experience, harness the power of the platform, and at the same time, you can perhaps potentially reduce your kind of server sprawl. If there's some servers that are running code that perhaps aren't being utilized, you can take those sort of Linux servers and you can move some of your applications and some of those functions over to Windows Server box. So that's kind of at the simple level, of course, for data centers, but in general, Windows Server 2008 we've got fantastic capabilities for power management, and really allows you to leverage lots of different features that allow you to sort of save money, save time, and really get the best PHP experience possible coupled with .NET. What else? PHP apps and associate configurations are kind of stored. You can share them across the UNC. So it's with IS7 we get rid of the metabase, and it's a simple deployment for your. So if you're running a server farm, you can easily deploy multiple configurations or the same configuration of your server farm. And I like the word. I like the one-click scenario, but it's a couple of clicks, and you can delegate. You can run different instances of technology across the server farm. So it's pretty cool stuff. So I mentioned the SQL Server driver for PHP. This came out about a year ago. You can go to Codeplex and actually download it. So for those of you that are not familiar with Codeplex, this is sort of Microsoft's, I guess, open source repository for different projects that are happening. So it's there's sort of non-attributable licenses, and if you have an application, if you want to utilize something from Codeplex, you can just pull it down. You can extend it, almost like a SourceForge, if you will. So you can go to Codeplex, download this particular driver, and once again harness the power of SQL in conjunction with your PHP application. It's a native 5 extension. You can read and write SQL Server data from within a PHP script. And it's compatible across all editions of SQL, including SQL Server Express. So if you're a hoster or if you're a developer and you just want to go try this out, SQL Server Express is free. This driver is free as well. You can just kind of go check it out. It's sort of a low cost or no cost entry to really harnessing the power of SQL in conjunction with your PHP application. And kind of some, why, right? So I think most folks that use PHP, traditionally they use MySQL as well, and there's sort of reasons, okay, why should I bother switching my database from MySQL to SQL? You can leverage the power of the SQL Server database engine. You can build BI functionality directly into your application. So if you have either a shopping cart or if you're doing some sort of analytics type project or analytics type application, you can leverage the power of the reporting services and different tools that are inherent to SQL Server. Advanced data types, spatial for location-based apps, XML, file streaming. These are things that you can't do today with MySQL, especially on the spatial-based data applications. Develop and deploy on a single platform. So we mentioned with Web Platform Installer. So now you can run Windows and IIS, SQL Server, and PHP, and really harness your skill. You sort of kind of harness your PHP skills, harness your PHP application, run it on the Windows platform, and utilize all the cool sort of functionality that SQL has to offer. Robust database, easy to manage, secure, and minimum downtime. Security-wise, we've had fewer security issues than people sort of know about. And security is kind of one thing that's come up quite a bit with sort of Windows Server in general, SQL, and when people compare it to open source. But you can go search for a paper from a company called Secunia, and they track kind of internet security issues across different server types, and there are exponentially more. There've been exponentially more security issues with open source stacks as opposed to Microsoft. So I don't have the exact number for you. You can go check it out, but it's true. It's been validated that Microsoft is really, it's more of a secure platform than people kind of give us credit for. So if anybody says, "Oh, I don't want to run Windows because it's not secure," it's really not true. It was true in the past, 10 years ago, perhaps, with Nimba Code Red, but that's a thing of the past, and that's 10 years. Technology is 10 years old. We've come really a long way from that time frame. So we talked about the installer. We talked a little bit about kind of our contributions to the community, but really PHP on Windows is more than Windows Server and SQL. As I mentioned, there's lots of different ways to leverage existing technologies and really make your PHP application. You give it a little bit more zip, give it a little bit more function, and really, there are millions of people today that use the Windows technology. So if you want to drive more adoption of your PHP app, that's a way to do it. You can put your application on top of our platform, and through the application gallery, through the web installer, you can extend your reach. And if you're developing code, if you're sort of a PHP only shop, you now have the ability to integrate with .NET and vice versa. So it really allows you to expand your business and kind of expand your skill sets. Talk a little bit about tools. So Expression Web with version 2, we have integrated PHP functionality within the tool itself. So you can go ahead and edit PHP pages. You can open them directly. You can even, as it will show you can actually even take a PHP application such as the WordPress and utilize Expression to add other functionality. So you can add Silverlight, you can add some live service hooks. There's other things that you can do directly from the tool. So you can utilize IntelliSense, the code coloring snippets. You can preview, so Expression Web actually comes with its own sort of development server, so you can preview all of your code and all of your sites and all your pages directly on your local machine before you push it out to a Windows server. And so right now it's Expression Web 2. This is available, once again, this will be available through the web PI. You can actually, you can download the trial, you can find out more information about this particular piece of technology, and it's pretty cool. So it's one of those things I think people don't really, once again, they don't realize that kind of the full breadth of support options that are available for PHP on the Windows platform. IIS is kind of the start, the driver is another piece, but now you have a tool as well that allows you to basically to edit and create your PHP specific pages and integrate the different Windows technologies directly from the tool. And of course, Silverlight. Can't get, there's been quite a bit of talk about Silverlight, over the past couple of days, some really fantastic demos that were showed off yesterday. And so what does Silverlight have to do with open source, or what does Silverlight have to do with PHP? So obviously, I think everyone knows it's an award-winning technology, Olympics. I think if anybody following March Madness this week? Anybody watching it now? Ooh. All right. Great. March Madness. Woo. So you can get Silverlight streaming. You can do lots of different things with Silverlight, but Silverlight in and of itself it's cross-browser. Silverlight will work with Internet Explorer, it'll work with Safari, it'll work with Firefox. It's cross-platform, Windows, Mac, Linux, and then of course there's the Linux variant of Silverlight's Moonlight, developed in conjunction with Novell. And so Silverlight's technology that sort of, it works across multiple platforms. So if you've kind of heard about all the cool stuff, if you're not using Silverlight yet, you should. And if you're only doing PHP development work, you can still leverage Silverlight and make kind of your application sing a little bit better. Not sing so much, but you can really give it some more pop. And you can integrate Silverlight into an existing application. You can integrate Silverlight into whatever code you're writing, and it's a pretty simple process. And of course, Visual Studio, that's obviously our developer sort of tool of choice for the Windows platform. And what does that have to do with PHP? Well, directly nothing, right? Visual Studio does not support PHP. However, if you want to really develop code and you want to develop applications, you can still leverage Visual Studio, and through Visual Studio, you can leverage Silverlight and the different other pieces of Microsoft technologies. But if you're a PHP developer, you can go to a company called JCX, and they make a plugin called vs.php, and integrate that into Visual Studio, and now you have a sort of a Microsoft-centric developers platform that you can now leverage PHP. So you can develop your PHP code utilizing JCX and Visual Studio, and once again, leverage the entire sort of the power of Visual Studio, once again tying it across to the other platforms that we have available. And if we have some time, we've actually got Juan from JCX here. If you guys have any questions for him, I'd be more than happy to answer them for you. And JCX is one partner with a plug-in. There's also a company with Embarcadero Technologies called Delphi, and it's called I believe it's Delphi for PHP. Only works, interestingly enough, on the Windows client. But so there are opportunities. There's other ways you can develop PHP code and utilize Microsoft at the same time. So we talked about the servers, we talked about the tools, we talked about how you can go ahead and very simply download a PHP application onto the Windows server, onto the Windows stack. And now we're going to tie that together for you, and Sean is going to show you how you can take an existing PHP application and utilize our technology to really to enhance them.
Okay, so here we are back at our default blog that we installed earlier in the presentation, and it's a little plain. I kind of want to spruce it up a little bit, so I've got a few things that I can show you that I'm going to utilize Expression Web to help enhance the experience. So I'm actually connected to the server right now locally, and I'm in the WordPress install directory. And I'm looking for a file called counter, because what I'm going to do is I want to actually see how many words are in my post. And it's just a little snippet, and all it's going to do is count the number of words in the particular post and give me an overall idea, just a small little deal. But I'm going to open this up with Expression Web 2. And I have pre-installed some snippets that work directly with Expression Web, and I'm going to go ahead and call them now. If I hit Control-Enter, I'm actually presented with a drop-down list. And I'm going to call this counter, it's called MIX09 word count function. So click there, and I'm now populated with that text for the counter. So I'm going to go ahead and save that. And now that I actually have the counter, I'm going to have to actually modify the existing installation to utilize the counter. Can you guys see that okay? No? Let me get that for you. So there you go. We got an expanded view for you. Just a little look at the code there. Now I want to actually get it called on the page. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go to my index page here. I'm going to open that also up in Expressions Web. And I'm going to actually have to call that counter file, and I'm going to do so by using, again, a snippet. I've got it called MIX09 include, and it's just a quick include. And now I'm going to actually want to place that counter where I want the results of the counter into the page. And again, I'm going to call a snippet, MIX09, call counter. And so with just a few quick steps, you can see how the snippets would help you quickly insert code that you reused over and over again. So if I come back here, I should refresh, and then you'll notice right here underneath Hello World, I've got 15 words where it wasn't before. So that's not all I'd like to do. I want to kind of spruce it up and maybe utilize a little bit of Silverlight in my installation. I'm going to see if I can't spruce up the header here. Now I've actually already have a compiled version of the Silverlight header I want to use. So I'm going to go ahead and grab that, and I'll show you that in Blend here in a second. Grab this, and I'll show you what's in there in just one moment. I'm going to actually browse to my WordPress directory, go into Content, Themes, Default. I'm going to drop this folder into here because I'm going to call this later for the header. In here, you'll see I've just got the Silverlight animation files that are necessary. And now I want to go back. I'm going to show you what I want to put in there. Go to my demo files. I have a working project that I can open up with Microsoft Expression Blend. And we're not going to do too much in here, but I just want to give you kind of like a quick look if you actually haven't worked with Blend, kind of what the interface looks like and what the build process looks like. And you'll see right here in the main pane, I've actually got a little cloud on the right-hand side, and we're actually going to turn that into an animation. And so just by pressing F5, it's actually going to build my current project. It'll open up a temporary web service and then give me a preview of that Silverlight file. So now I actually want to put that into my application so I can, enhance its overall look. I'll go back here. I'm going to open up the header file. Give me 1 second as I browse to the web directory again. There we go. So now I've opened up my header file, and I'm going to actually do a little bit more snippet for you. Right here, I'm going to remove everything that currently exists. I'm going to call again MIX09 Silverlight header, and that just added in a few calls to the actual Silverlight animation file. I'm going to go ahead and save that. Come back here, and I'm going to need to adjust the style sheet. Again, I can open that in Expressions Web. Here's the existing style sheets, and I'm going to come all the way down to the bottom. Again, call a snippet. MIX09 underscore new styles. You'll see I just added some overlay information that is going to conform the header information. Yeah. I'm going to go ahead and save that. And if I come back to my web application, I should now have the animated backend. But now I've got the header, I've got it looking good, I've got my word count. So when I'm posting, maybe I want to add a little bit more Silverlight. Maybe I have a video that I want to share with my audience. So we actually have a service called Silverlight Streaming Services, and I'm actually already logged in. If you go to silverlight.live.com, you have I believe it's about 10 gigs of space?
I think 5 or 10.
About 5-10 gigs of space, and you can actually take home videos and upload them, and it will actually automatically convert it into a Silverlight animated player. And so I've done that, and I've got a video here. I've called it Master Chief. It's actually of a 6-foot Master Chief statue that my wife, in a moment of deliriousness, let me buy. So I wanted to share that with other people via my blog. So a little preview of it here. Now, how do I get it into my blog? They just give you a quick iframe snippet. I'm going to go ahead and copy that, come back to my dashboard, and I'm going to do a new post here. I'm going to call it...
Are you going to show them your Dora statue also?
No Dora, no. Switching over to the HTML view, I'm going to slap in that tag and go ahead and publish it. And if I come back, I now have my Master Chief embedded in Silverlight. So we have our header, we have our word count, we have our Silverlight player, all utilized with the Microsoft technologies.
Awesome. Good stuff. So anybody know you can do all that with Microsoft gear? Someone's shaking their head yes. Anybody else? So anyway, this is pretty cool stuff. So if you're a PHP developer, once again, you can now leverage the full range of Microsoft technologies. And that's just kind of we've got a few more demos for you as well, but the tools, the servers, the web PI, the gallery, PHP is threaded really throughout the different pieces of sort of the Microsoft stack, the different engines that we have, and it's pretty. I'm not a developer myself, but that looked pretty simple. It was probably like 20 steps, and you're able to utilize Silverlight streaming. You're able to put in a word count, and also embed an actual Silverlight video right directly into your application. So anyway, cool stuff. Thank you, Sean. So extend with live services. So for those of you that aren't familiar with live services, it's one of our kind of building block cloud services that are part of Azure. Actually, Live has been around for quite some time, but kind of Azure is sort of the platform layer, and then we have sort of the different building blocks that are on top of that, and live services is one of the pieces that fit on top of the Azure platform. So what do live services allow you to do? You can access user data. You can access different information on different user devices. You can access a social graph, so you can find people where they are. It's like I'm not going to say it's like Twitter, but for people that use live services, you can easily kind of follow them and see what they're doing and where they're at and the such. You can access a profile. You can manage applications. You can access control. You can provide a way to generate news. So if you have a blog, let's say, and you make a change to that blog, you can utilize live services to basically send out a mail to your buddy saying, hey, Sean's blog has changed, and it's a PHP blog, utilizing live services to notify your friends that you've made some changes to a blog. You can sync, you can share, and once again access. So taking PHP and actually leveraging the live services platform allows a PHP application to really touch something like 500 million users worldwide that are using live services today. And live services, for example, your live ID, that's an example of a live service. There's a company in Germany that's actually, it's a PHP-based social application, but they utilize, a live ID to authenticate, and they've integrated Microsoft Messenger as well into that application so that all of their users can communicate, once again, utilizing sort of the Microsoft piece of technology. So, 500 million users that you can touch, perhaps not instantaneously, but pretty quickly. So powerful stuff, once again. If you want to integrate Hotmail, if you want to integrate, the Silverlight streaming, these are different sort of examples of what live services can do for you. And building blocks for handling user data, application resources, and once again, connect to hundreds of millions of users. And this is sort of the live services, sort of the framework. And there's 4 kind of main categories: identity, directory, storage, comms, and search and geospatial. You can utilize that live framework in conjunction with your existing PHP app, or if you're starting a new PHP app, integrate .NET with that application as well as live services, and kind of harness our existing cloud platform that we have available today. And then, of course, mesh. And the mesh is another way. So we talked about synchronization. Mesh is a way for you to synchronize multiple devices all sort of seamlessly through the cloud. And once again, you can harness mesh. And I think we're going to show you a little bit of a mesh demo as well, how to take mesh and leverage it with a PHP application. So users, devices, apps, and synchronization. So that coupled together, sort of this live services framework. If you go to dev.live.com, there's the full documentation, how to utilize the APIs, all the different kind of case studies for companies that have been doing it already. So once again, it's another way for you to harness the power of live services. You can integrate, like a live search toolbar. And here's something else that's actually kind of cool. The Ad Center team, they actually have an API, a PHP-specific API. So if you have a site, or if your customer has a site that is PHP only and they don't want to necessarily utilize .NET for anything else, you can utilize this API, hook it into your application, and now you have a way to communicate to Ad Center to bid on different, on different words, different tags. And the other cool thing about Ad Center is that you can also base it on by demographic. So if you want to target, when Sean is going to go sell his Dora the Explorer 6-foot-tall doll, he probably wants to target girls that are maybe 10 years or under, and he can utilize that for his calls. So anyway, so it's really quick. It allows you to interact with the Ad Center client. It allows you to you set up your credit card account, allows you to make payment, allows you to receive payment, and your searches or your product or whatever your application is now shows up on a live search page. And obviously, like everything else with search nowadays, if you pay for the higher price, you will get the kind of the premium placement. But once again, you don't have to use a .NET call to leverage kind of the power of Ad Center. And so live services in PHP. So we did a couple of demos so far. We do the web PI. We've installed the application. We've integrated Silverlight streaming. We've integrated a bunch of other kind of pretty cool hooks. And now Sean's going to take you through and show you a live service in PHP demo.
Thank you, Michael. Okay, so now that we've used WPI to install WordPress, we've enhanced WordPress with Silverlight, with some editing with Microsoft Expression Web. Now I want to actually plug in my blog into my live connected services in the background. Has anybody here been to livemesh.com? Show of hands. Okay, great. There is a developer side of Live Mesh called developer.ctp-mesh.com, and this is the side that I'm actually going to be running some code from WordPress to connect to my Live Mesh environment. So right here, I'm actually connected to my Live Mesh desktop. I'm going to go ahead and create a new folder and call it Mix Demo. This is going to be the basis of where I want my information to be stored. If I go back to my blog, I'm going to want to enable some services. So I've got a file here. It's called LiveFX. I'm actually not going to go into the code, but it contains information on the being able to connect from a PHP application to the live services framework in the background. And I'm going to go ahead and copy that into my PHP directory. I could have done this ahead of time for you folks, but I wanted you to see that there's no real smoke and mirrors here. I'm just doing everything live and to show that there's some simplicity here. I have 2 more modules that are actually specifically written for WordPress that are actually going to plug into the live services framework. So I'm going to copy these files. They're called backup post and import users, and I'll show you what that means in a second. In my WordPress directory, all I've done is copy those files over into the plugins directory. And now if I go back to my dashboard, I'm actually going to have to enable these plugins. And you'll notice right here, I've got 2 more additional plugins called Live Effects Backup and Import Users. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and select these and activate them. Actions and activate. And I'm going to utilize the import function of the module that I just installed. So what I'm about to show you is I'm going to run the plugin. And the plugin is actually going to connect to my personal Live Mesh account, which is also syndicated with my Hotmail account and all of the other live service related accounts, and it's going to pull some of my contacts. So go to Tools. I should now have Import Live Contacts. And so what it's doing right now, it's going out, and it wants to not show me any of my live contacts because I'm actually doing it right now, which is okay, because I can actually fix that for you in just one moment. Now the reason that actually occurred is because there's a token that is set up in that live effects file, and that token is associated with my account, and that's how it knows what account to actually work with. So I'm actually just going to grab myself a new token real quick and drop it into that file. So I know I showed you I wasn't actually going to show you any of that code, but you're going to get to see it.
And then just the tokens are available for anyone that signs up for that CTP account. So it's not something that it's not a purchase. It's just you sign up for the account to really leverage kind of the developer tools that are associated with Mesh. And every time you do have to renew that token every so often. So if you have an app, you will have to create. You basically get a new token after it expires.
That is correct. Drop this in here. I've got my token piece right here. Drop that back, copy in my new token, and save it. And I will come back to my application, show my rules, import live contacts. And now you see that it's actually connected to my personal account, and it's got a list of my contacts. Don't write these down. You're not going to want to talk to them anyway. But just for argument's sake, I'm going to go ahead and add my wife as an administrator to my blog. You may want to add your wives as, read-only, but I'm a little more adventurous. Go ahead and import that user, and now she's actually a user of my blog. So what we've done is we pulled my contacts, made it a little bit easier. I have all my friends there, and I just want to add them to my blog and give them access so they can read and whatnot. So the more interesting part, though, is the background talk that it's going to do to the Live Mesh services. So what I'm going to go and go back to my dashboard, and I'm going to do a new post. We'll just call it Post 2. Hello, world. And I'm going to publish that. So now I've got my new post, and just to show you, right here, I've got my Hello World Post 2. If I go back to my Live Mesh desktop, I've got my Mix demo folder here. On the right-hand side, and I'll zoom in for you, you'll notice it says Sean Hirschman, new blog entry titled Post 2. So it's actually communicating the blog title back up into my Mesh folder. Now the metadata for the actual post itself is contained on the live services. It's just in this particular demo, we're not utilizing it. But the implication here is that anybody who's subscribed to this Live Mesh object, so if I wanted to add somebody else to have access to this object, can all synchronize with the blog post. And you can actually do some offline backups of the blog post, and you can even go so far as to potentially write another PHP app that could read and synchronize this data as an offline RS feed.
Awesome. So cool stuff. So once again, just shows you that PHP is integratable, if that's a word, into lots of different aspects of Microsoft technologies, Microsoft stacks. Most everything that we're showing you is it's free, obviously with the exception of the Windows Server. However, you can download that, I think, for up to 270 days as a free trial. We've got some hosters as well that have really cool offers. For those of you that want to try out, kind of Windows Server and PHP, got a hoster, GoGrid. They're actually one of our silver sponsors. And everybody in your bag, you should have gotten a cloud card, $200 credit. Go check it out. And that's it's awesome, fantastic service. And we'll be, actually after the session, if you guys want to come up with me to the lounge, they'll be more than happy to answer any questions, and Juan as well, if you want to speak to JCX, that'd be fantastic. So, pretty cool stuff. I'm going to talk really quickly about kind of the software plus services, or on-prem or off. So today, obviously on the on-premises side, it's kind of the standard stack. So that's kind of what the WebPI can get you today. Windows Server, the System Center is not actually applicable, but this is all kind of on-prem traditional technologies that are available today. We're moving to kind of a cloud-based solution as well, where you can leverage the power of an on-premise solution with the power of the Microsoft Cloud, Azure. We talked a little bit about live services, and if you notice, that's one of the building block pieces, components of Azure itself. So if you're a developer, you can develop locally, you can deploy locally, and then really leverage the power of having kind of the global reach and having the scale that a cloud service will provide for you. And there was a couple of sessions going on today, and I think maybe one tomorrow as well, where we talked a little bit about Azure, but more importantly, what does Azure have to do with PHP? Well, we announced yesterday, actually, at the keynote, that the fast CGI, so the module component that allows you to deploy PHP on top of Windows Server, is now going to be available in the Azure cloud as well. And there's a resource slide that has some other cool sessions that talk about Azure, talk about PHP and Azure. When you guys have time, check them out. I think all of these sessions are available 24 hours after they're delivered, available using your Silverlight video player. So what's Azure? It's an OS for the cloud, utility computing, for management, so kind of four primary features: service management, compute, obviously storage, and developer experience. The developer experience part is kind of interesting because you can actually, there's a client that will run locally on your machine, and it simulates kind of what you experience in the cloud. I don't believe that anybody else kind of has that functionality today, where you can develop locally, check things out again locally, and then push to the cloud. And it's kind of the whole developing locally part. We've looked at, we've done research and we've talked to PHP developers. A lot of PHP developers, they develop on a Windows box. Like they develop on a PC. They do a notepad, or they install JCX or something. But when it comes to deployment, they perhaps deploy to LAMP, or they deploy Linux or Red Hat, or whatever other variant OS you want. However, now, once again, with kind of everything we've talked about, there's I think it's a compelling reason for you to actually at least try. Go try PHP on Windows. Go check out live services, see how you can leverage these different things. And then obviously with Azure, fast CGI, you can utilize PHP directly into the cloud. And then something else that's pretty cool. So one of the things I did mention about IS7 is that we have this out-of-band release called the URL rewriter. Essentially, it's a way, so if you look at a kind of a typical URL address for a PHP app, it's really long and it's ugly. You can import, using the IS, it's kind of the mod rewriter functionality, you can import all of your Apache rules, import all of your rules that have your URL pieces, and it will create kind of a clean or a neat URL for you, kind of on the fly directly with the platform. So once again, it's pretty cool stuff and pretty compelling. This is just sort of what a little piece of code that just kind of that we're enabling PHP via fast CGI into the cloud. I don't have a demo, unfortunately, of the fast CGI in the Azure piece. However, the demo that Sean did, the live services piece, that's a cloud offer that's available today now that anybody can go try out and check out. And there's also, I believe, you can also get developer access to Azure and kind of play with it as well. So stuff that it's all stuff that's available today, things that you can do immediately and really harness the Microsoft platform with regards to your PHP development applications. So just real quick, this is just a summation slide of benefits of Azure: automated service management, service hosting, scalable, and of course, once again, the developer experience. So scalable meaning via cloud storage. It's infinitely scalable, deployable, and so you can really leverage your application. So if you're if you're an ISV and you have an app, and you're not sure if it's going to be a popular application, obviously everybody wants to be like the next YouTube or Facebook or MySpace, but you can deploy it onto Azure, and then as more customers, more users pull it down, and you kind of, as you build that base, it'll scale kind of on the fly. So that's really the kind of cloud computing or utility computing, if you will, that it scales instantaneously, automatically, and it just kind of happens for you behind the scenes. So it's a compelling platform. And once again, we have obviously Azure as a Microsoft technology, but we also have partners that have their own cloud computing technologies, such as GoGrid. They have a cloud-based offer, so it's Windows Server and PHP in the cloud. utilizing their technologies, and there's other companies that have kind of their own version or their own way of doing things. So is one way better than the other? No, it's all really about choice. If you want to work with us, great. If you want to work with a partner, that's fine too. This is just a quick little kind of snippet of what this sort of development fabric looks like, and this is a sort of simulated environment that you would get on your desktop, showing that you've got 3 instances of PHP, the kind of what you see in your browser, and this is all happening. Kind of this is that local view, so you can sort of set things up locally once again, see how it operates, see how it looks, and then push it up to the Azure cloud. And I'm going to do one more demo. Got a mesh. Did we ever do this one? So this is the other mesh demo that we've got going on. So this is, once again, this is not, it's not Azure per se, but it's a cloud demo. It's cloud-based. Mesh, Sean showed you one piece of a demo with WordPress, and we're going to do one more for you.
All right, thanks, Michael. While that's installing, I've actually gone to the public site of livemesh.com, and what I'm doing is you have an option to install a local client to a particular device that allows you to synchronize data between your device and your live desktop. So I've gone ahead and done that while we're waiting, so I'm just going to call this device PHP demo, add device, and that'll synchronize here in a second. While I'm waiting for that, I kind of want to show you, I've got a local copy of an open source photo gallery called QDig. I will show you here in just one second. Well, that's running. I now actually have my PHP demo synced. And so that's my local server here that's going to be synced with my live desktop. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and connect to my live desktop. If I go back, I've got my QDig. I've got a default image in there. But I want to go ahead and say, what happens if I actually synced my QDig application that is live on the web directly with Live Mesh. And you can do that now with the local installation. So I'm going to come back to my server, into the QDig directory. And because the client is installed, I can right-click on QDig and say Add Folder to Live Mesh. If you can't see that, it's in the breakout there. And add folder, it's going to want to know what I want to call it. I'm going to call it QDig. And that's going to synchronize the data from here to the cloud, and also from the cloud to here, and vice versa. So as that's creating, if I'm in Vegas and I'm taking some pictures and I wanted an easy way to actually upload my files to my web application gallery without actually connecting to the server, this could be a possible method. So now that that's synchronizing, we'll let that go. I'm going to need a picture of all of you. So when you're ready, say cheese. Cheese. Thank you.
Oh, a little more excitement.
Yeah, really. All right, now I've got a picture of you. So I'm playing like I'm a person in Vegas at a mixed demo, and I've just taken a picture, and I want to upload it to my application gallery very quickly without actually having to connect. So I'm going to connect this to my local machine here. Give me a second when my machine wants to remember what it's doing. Browse to my memory stick here. Got a picture of everybody. And I'm going to log into my Mesh account here. Now logged in, I'm going to show the live desktop, and I will have a QDig folder here where I can actually upload the picture that I just took of everyone. So I'm going to browse manually to the stick, take my picture, open it up, and now it's uploading that file to the server, which should now actually come sync back into the QDig directory. Now, as it's actually syncing, it should come up with a temporary file that it's going to utilize. Right now, actually, before I was testing to make sure that Live Mesh was working properly, I think there's actually a little issue of speed. So in we have about 2 minutes left, so I'll just go ahead and add it in there manually. Got the image, but the idea is obviously that it will sync that data. It'll come back here, and I will actually see that in the QDig file. And if I come back to my QDig gallery, it should update with that additional picture of one I just took. The man who said cheese.
All right, cool stuff. Thanks, Sean. So once again, leveraging the power of a Microsoft platform with PHP applications, it's stuff that's pretty simple to do. Most of it is free, obviously the live mesh, the mesh services, the live services, all the different integration points that we talked about are just things that you can go try. So for those of you that are developing PHP or are kind of on the fence or perhaps doing both, you can now, so if you're a .NET developer and you happen to do PHP as well, you can utilize your existing skills and sort of your code base and everything else that you have done in .NET and really leverage it with PHP if you want to. And you can obviously run it on the Windows platform. So a couple of customers that are doing it, so sort of don't take my word for it. We actually have customers that are doing stuff live today. A company called Battle Stations. We have hosters that are running PHP on Windows. And then obviously GoDaddy, they're one of the larger, obviously probably the largest hoster in the world, the second largest host in the world. And they have a PHP on Windows offer, and you can actually utilize several applications that you can run directly on a Windows Server box. So kind of, why? So why this sort of, not so much push, but why are we working with PHP? Why do we want PHP to work well on our platforms? Like, once again, it's all about customer choice. If you have a customer or if you're a developer and you want to run a .NET, great. If you want to run PHP, that's great too. But we'd like you to try it out and run it on the Windows platform, utilize SQL, utilize all the live service pieces that we have, the web PI, the gallery, all the different things that you've heard about over the past couple of days. And hopefully these demos that we've done for you today give you something to think about and kind of maybe think about how you can take a PHP app that you have today and really extend and enhance it with our technologies and really create a unique experience for your end users. So in summary, PHP works. It was a priority for Microsoft. There's PHP kind of across the company and different product sets that we have. As you saw, most of them that Sean has looked at. There are probably a couple of things that we didn't show you, but you get all the documentation you need on is.net/PHP, the dev.live.com. All of these different things that we've shown you are all available. All the APIs are publishable. It's all out there. Full range of PHP support. You can use our technology to attract more customers to either your application or to your website or to anything that you're doing, and really it helps you expand your knowledge base and helps you to create kind of a more compelling PHP application. And we've got tons of programs for you. So if you're an ISV, if you're a startup, we've got the BizSpark program that you might have heard about. Free software, free tools for 3 years. It's almost a no-brainer. So if you're in the business, if you're an ISV, if you develop code, you can get into the BizSpark program. If you're at a university, there is a DreamSpark program as well. You can go check that out. And if I believe it's available to just about every university in North America, and I think it's sort of moving worldwide. But once again, free code, free tools, free servers, free software for you to really try out Windows and really get the best experience possible. And that's all we have for you today. So appendix slides, everybody will have access to this deck, some resources. Hopefully, we gave you guys something to think about over the past hour. I want to thank Sean for doing the demos. You guys, everybody, have a fantastic rest of your day and into the sessions tomorrow. And for those of you that stayed up a little bit too late last night, I'm seeing some eyes closed. You should take a nap. Thank you.